What's going on, brother? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Can't hear you. Oh, you're on mute.
Here we go.
There you are. Yeah, you're on mute. What's going on,
Yeah.
brother?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Doing all right, brother. How you doing? Welcome to
doing
the A1.
good.
Really good to hear, brother. Welcome to the A1 podcast. I'm here with West Texas Warbirds. Am I correct with the name?
Yeah, you
Yes.
got it.
Yes, sir. West Texas Warbirds. West Texas Warbirds. I'll get it. West Texas Warbirds. Assistant coach and director of scouting analytics, Gabriel Martinez. Gabriel, how you doing today, brother?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me on.
100%, man. Hey, congratulations on the move. I think I just saw you posted.
Yeah, man. Big moves. 10 acres and a house and doing some country living.
All right. And which town you guys moved to now? From where to where?
If you're familiar with like Texas Tech, that's where
Yeah.
it's Lubbock, Texas.
Yeah, Lubbock, yeah.
And so it's just right outside Lubbock.
100%. Speaking
Yeah.
of Texas Tech, I think you went to a game in October, right?
I didn't go to any this year.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, usually we used to have season tickets before that, like when I first got started and all this stuff. I was actually I was a student assistant for Tech at a high school.
Okay.
That was my whole thing. Is I was always thinking I was going to do I wanted to play, but
Yeah.
6'2", 250 Mexican. You're in a hard place, man. Like you got to be like a brick shit house when it comes to strong or really fast. And I was never really fast. But yeah, I started out there as a student assistant, got to work under Mike Leach and Tommy Tuberville.
Wow.
And that's where I got my kind of fire for coaching.
That's awesome, man. And what was it like? What was it like working for kind of Tuberville and Leach? Because I know Tuberville was there first, I believe.
Leach was there.
The Leach was there first, and then Leach was there, and he kind of came up with the air raid offense with Graham Harrell and those guys. So kind of talk to me about kind of what experiences you kind of leverage working with those coaches, in their respective tenures.
Yeah, two totally different guys. So Leach was very introspective, very quirky. He was the type of coach. He had all his plays on a piece of paper in his hand.
Yeah.
Just 8 plays, and they would run those same 8 plays out of whatever formations, and put 84 on the board. Always, whenever he was here, always a bowl game. He got a little bit of trouble because there was accusations. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about that whole thing.
Yeah.
Whether that was however that happened, a lot of stuff there. But him as a coach, man, he was great. He was always wanting to scout the local guys. He wanted to go into the 2 and 3A schools and find those hidden gems, try to find those prospects nobody else wanted, and he won with them. I mean, if you get, there was times where we wouldn't beat Texas or Oklahoma in the same year, but they got 5-star guys. You got 2 and 3-star guys, and they're selling out for you. And so that was the way it was.
Yeah.
So of course all that went away. Tuberville comes on, and he's, literally, dude. Like when I first met him, I thought this guy's a politician. and here it is, 2020.
Exactly.
He won.
He won. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in Alabama, and I was like, that makes so much sense to me.
It's so amazing. He won. Did he win the House, or did he win a state Senate or like a state legislature position?
I think it was a state senator.
Yeah.
Me in politics, that's not me, but
me too, bro.
Yeah.
This is the only language I speak, and I've been showing it to every guest I'm showing every guest this week. So you're gonna have to bear with me. I'm kind of gluttonous on my show. So
I've been watching. I haven't seen you show that bling off.
Yeah, appreciate it, brother. No, but yeah, no, for sure. And I think kind of what you address is an important point. the fact that Leach was willing to go out and scout guys, and kind of go to those lower programs. When I was talking to Lofa Tatupu, our guest on Thursday, he was kind of talking to me kind of the difference between when he was at Maine versus going to USC.
Oh yeah.
And obviously there are standouts at the D1 AA's or the D2s, the D3s. Some guys who I play with in college who end up transferring. A few guys who I play with they transferred to either D2s or D3s, and they end up going to play for the AFL. You know what I mean? And some guys even got some NFL practice squad looks. So, and I think it's awesome that Mike Leach kind of had that, and the fact that you were there to witness that. That probably, and I guess now that's a good segue. Your current role. So first, let's talk a little bit about the West Texas Warbirds. I know they're an indoor football team, but what league are you guys currently a part of, and kind of where are you guys currently situated right now? In the arena football, the world. Right.
So right now we're with the CIF. So I think it's like Central Indoor or Championship Indoor Football.
Oh, that's a Premier League. That's Premier League.
Yes. Yeah. So it's big time. We'll play Kansas. We'll play Wyoming. We'll play Nebraska, and I think the closest one to us is Amarillo, which is about maybe 2 hours away from me here in Lubbock. Of course, the team's actually out of Odessa, Texas.
Yeah.
If you remember, like Friday Night Lights.
Oh yeah, Permian High School, brother. What you fucking talking? Booby Miles, baby.
Booby Miles, man. Booby Miles forever. So that's where it's out of. So you can imagine the football town that is. It still is. Permian is still a big deal there.
It's crazy, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but it's just one of those things. I visited UT Austin's facility a few years ago, right? Yeah. That is when I finally got to see what football in Texas really meant. It really showed me kind of how much of a lifestyle. When I was talking to Lofa, obviously when we went to Auburn and played in front of 80,000, 90,000 fans at War Eagle, or even me just going there for the first time, going to see fucking Ricky Williams Heisman in the fucking entrance, and then the whole hall of the championship teams, and you get to the trophy room, they have all the national championship trophies in one center, and I just go up like this. I mean, I'm just like, dude, this is fucking like it legitimately is a lifestyle. It legitimately is a lifestyle, and kind of, obviously you being born and raised, and you could probably attest that even further, obviously from high school all the way up.
Well, and that's I know you got to see it at UT, which don't get me wrong, hella prestigious. They've done it. They've won championships. They have Heisman Trophy winners. Their quarterbacks typically suck, but whatever. But that's just it's big time. But if you were to go down to like a 6A high school football game, you would probably get just as much of a rush because it's
sure. Yeah.
I mean, these stadiums, they still seat probably 15,000 people. It's jam packed. So you're standing room only, and I mean, even like you said, like Texas Tech, not to go back, but like a night game here in Lubbock when people have been like tailgating since like 6 that morning. And they've been drinking straight liquor all day long, and it's a night game. Like, that's the reason why we beat UT in 08, because it was Halloween. You had people dressed up like the Joker. Yeah. And I mean, the fans were just rowdy. They throw tortillas on the field. They talk about your mom. I mean, it's awesome, man. And
it's fucking wrestling, brother. Like, you know what I mean? It's like wrestling and like. Yeah, I was watching bunch of wrestling today before the NFL started, and then even between NFL games, my Niners don't play until like an hour from now. So I'm like, all right, I've just kind of, and I'm kind of half watching this Packers game, but I mean, it's whatever. But to your point, I mean, and it's a good point, because obviously, football in Texas and then the South in general is a lifestyle. It's not just a game, and obviously to your point about how big it is and kind of how seriously they take high school football, right? And how seriously they take all the lower level football divisions. And it's a important point that you bring up, as opposed to just looking at UT Austin, because UT Austin is obviously the premier program. Obviously, it's going to be big, right? You're not a bit like, obviously when you look at it from a micro scale, when you go down a little further, it's like 15,000 seat arenas. That's like reminds me of my arena days where I got this motherfucker. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like 15 to 20,000 seat arenas. You know what I mean? It's just like it's shit, and that's for a fucking high school game, 6A. And
kids are 16, 17,
yeah. Oh, did I lose you? Can you hear me? Looks like Gabe is having some technical difficulties. We will wait on standby.
Brand new stadium.
Yeah.
It's top of the notch, turf. They got it's like stands are built up around it, all this kind of stuff. And like going back to be on the sideline to help coach, you're like, man, this is totally culture shock. Like, they got an indoor practice facility. They have all this stuff. It's like a major program.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what counts, because it's like when you can see that. And it's funny you brought that up, because when I was coaching, I had my first experience coaching varsity high school last year at Whitney High
Mm-hmm.
School, the one of the local schools out here in Sac.
Mm-hmm.
The Nevada scout who came to our practice, he actually he grew up with my high school coach. Even though I didn't get to play in high school, my high school coach was willing to go on record and do a video montage, to kind of go on video record and just say, even though Asif Ali didn't play for our school, I'm willing to vouch for him and say that he has character and ability. He'll be successful in whatever he chooses to do,
Right.
whether it's football, whether it isn't. And so the Nevada scout grew up with him, and they said, Asif, do you know? Because my coach, and not my coach, but the coach of Foothill High School was John Mannion. His son is Sean Mannion, who's in the NFL now. He's on the Vikings, right?
Oregon
The
State.
Nevada, yeah, exactly. Oregon State. See, yep, you already got the O how, right? So you already know. So the scout basically grew up with Mannion, and he said, "Have you been to the high school?" Because after Sean went to Oregon State, John got a job over there in Oregon. And he said,
Right.
"Have you been to the high school that John is now coaching at?" I said, "No." And he said, "Why not?" I'm like, "Well, I'm over here in Cali. Why would I go there?" He's like, "Cause dude, it's like a fucking college program. Like that's
Yeah.
exactly what it's like. It's like fucking like it's lit. It has like 15. I'm not sure. 10,000 at least. Seating capacity, and it
Right.
has like the facilities, as gyms, as block, as everything. New uniforms, the whole nine. Recruiters are
Mm-hmm.
just flooding. You know what I mean?
Oh
And it's just
yeah.
like it's fucking lit. You know what I mean? So it's really cool to kind of see that. You also you've had that experience obviously at the collegiate level, but also at the high school
Mm-hmm.
level before. And so actually, yeah, why don't we go to more of your background? So let's talk more about kind of, like what your early years and kind of, how you kind of, got into football and coaching, and then
Yeah.
kind of, where you are today.
Yeah, man. Of course, started out. I didn't do any pee wee. I didn't do any youth football, anything like that. Pop Warner, never even knew about it. I
Yeah.
was skateboarding, tearing up my knees, like stuff like that. But junior high, of course, you kind of just do what your friends do. They all did it, so they went to seventh grade, junior high football. I'm like, cool, let's do it. At the time, big kid, hadn't, I was just baby weight really, just I'm pretty tall, maybe 5'8" at the.
Pretty big. Gabe, did I lose you? I think there's a little connection issue, Gabe. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you hear me?
Yeah, now I can. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh wait, nope. It looks like your screen's frozen. Your screen's frozen. I can't hear you. Okay, I can hear something.
We got a bad connection.
No, okay, you're good.
You're good.
Now you're good. Now I can hear you.
Okay.
It
You're
was like,
frozen. You're frozen, so I just want to make sure.
no, I'm good. Yeah, I can hear you. So you're good. Okay,
Okay,
sorry.
cool.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you're good, man. So ninth grade, finally started to develop, got taller, hit 6'2", where I just stopped at, dropped down. Finally I wasn't the Harry Potter looking kid no more. I got contact.
That's what they call me, brother. Like in
Yeah,
fucking JUCO
man.
here because of the glasses and shit. Oh
I
my,
hated that shit,
I
dude.
love it, brother. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
So yeah, man. So went through it. Finally started to put on muscle mass.
Yeah.
It was like 6'2", like 200.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I want to play defensive end. Did really well. We won like the city championship, which is what that's the Super Bowl for a ninth grade team.
Yeah.
From there, I was supposed to go to a 5A school, which is just down the street. But my family and we moved like south of town, and that's where it was. It was this school I was telling you about, Lubbock Cooper. And so it was like almost like experience. The coaches were talking to me like, come here, you'll start, sophomore year, blah, blah, blah. And I get there and it's just like, it's not the same anymore, man. Like, I'm out there and all of a sudden guys are, 6'4", 6'5", in there, I can hang with them in the weight room, I can hang with them, a little bit agility wise, but I don't have that like aggressiveness yet. I don't have that killer instinct. Like, I'm a technical player. I'll use my technique, stuff like that. So it was crazy. So I played a little bit my sophomore year there. Played my junior year, started my junior year, of course, and I was like top of Texas, top junior to watch for our team. So I was like, that's cool. Like, I'm doing good things. Last game of the regular season, take a shot to my knee, and it hyperextends backwards. I tear both my meniscus.
Yeah.
So it's a quick scope, surgery, 4 weeks, we're back. But it's never the same. I've never firing off the ball the same. I'm never squatting the same. It doesn't feel like I'm in my body anymore. Also, I'm no longer 6'2", 195. The line coach bumped me up to 6'2", 275. And I was just yoked, you know what I'm saying? Like, strong as fuck. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Beast mode, brother.
Yeah, just walking out like Rick Steiner, dude. Like
Rick fucking Steiner. All right. That's gonna be the next segment, but keep going. All right.
Yeah. So, being in, small town at high school, it happens to everybody. You kind of click up with the guys that are older than you. They're drinking, partying on the weekends.
Yeah.
My stepdad was a police officer, so I messed up twice. I got caught twice.
Ah, man.
And so my mom, and she goes and tells our head coach, and tells him to discipline me.
Oh my God, dude.
And so, we have that conversation, it's like I think we were doing like 5 miles a day for 2 weeks. That was our punishment. So I get through all that. Get through all of it barely.
Yeah.
The summer comes, we do summer workouts, sweat camp. I get through 2-a-days, and then I'm just like, you know what? Fuck this. Like,
yeah.
I was at the point to where I was like, man, like, I'm doing well academically, straight A student. I was the top ranked male in my class. I knew I was going to do more with my brain than I was going to with my body. It just came down to it. Mm-hmm. And so I told him the last day after 2-a-days, I went in there. I was like, hey, like, I'm done. Like, we're hanging it up. And, of course, it's that perception, those coaches, they're like, when you're no longer of service to them, they're just like, you're dead to me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, cool. Like, it is what it is. Didn't have any hard feelings, but I took that as a lesson as I got older, because once I found out my passion was to be in the game as a coach, I now have that lesson to where I'm like, you know what, like it's more than just, how many touchdowns you can score for me, or, how long you can hold that block for me. That relationship goes way, way further. It's, you gotta, not everyone's going to be taught or coached the same way. You can't, chew this guy, his ass out for 2 hours. Maybe he doesn't respond to that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or this other guy over here, maybe he needs that, because that's what gets him going. So that's what kind of helped me, as I got older. So like I said, graduated high school, I had a full ride for Texas Tech based upon my grades.
Yeah.
And got there. I just lucked out getting that student assistant job with athletics. And so I'm like, okay, like I'm seeing, I'm at practice every day. I'm seeing these top guys doing this shit. It's cool. It's cool. Like, let's see what's up. Like, maybe I can do this. And, had a maybe a year where I thought, like, I'm going to get back and do this thing. I'm going to be a D1 athlete.
Yeah.
Nah. You gotta be a walk on. You gotta, I'm sure it's still the same way now. You gotta have the insurance.
Yeah, you gotta have insurance.
You gotta be able to go, make all your classes to where you have all morning classes, because you have workouts before and then, your stuff afterwards. It was just a lot. Plus, not to mention, I'm 18 years old with a brand new baby. Like,
dude.
I have a kid. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, it is what it is, but I still love ball, still love it. And that's where I got into semi-pro. I walked up, and there was actually a guy approached me. I was working, and he was like, hey, you've thought about playing semi-pro? We need some guys. And I was like, my time's done playing, but, I've always wanted to coach.
Yeah.
He's like, cool, we need coaches. And semi-pro, it's a hard way to start, because you're not getting no money put in your pocket.
Right.
You're out there on your own time, your own gas. If you're traveling for an away game, you're paying for your hotel, and then you're dealing with guys that are sometimes 10, 15 years older than you.
Yeah.
So I was 22, 23, And these guys, we had a guy on the team who was 40 years old.
I know, right? He's like, wait, what?
Yeah, within 6 weeks, I go from a defensive line coach to a defensive coordinator, and we're playing a charity game in Cowboy Stadium, the new Cowboy Stadium.
Ooh.
And so I'm like, that's my first game to coordinate a game.
Wow.
And I'm like, holy shit. Like,
fucking
we're driving up. It's about a 4-hour drive from here to Dallas.
Yeah.
And I'm just, studying my play sheet the entire time, drinking red lines, trying to just I'm just amped to the T. Like I am up. We play a good team. We had a good game. We ended up coming up a little short. It was a really close game, but from that point I was like, boom, I'm here. Like, let's do this shit. Like, let's go ahead. If I can do this here, keep progressing, then, I can get wherever I want to be. So since then, a lot more semi-pro. Like I told you, I did my, my time in, my student teaching and stuff at, high schools. And then I would pay for myself to go to clinics, Blazer clinics, Texas High School Association clinics, Texas Tech. They have clinics here for local
coach clinics, right?
Yeah. So paying for myself to go, and we drive to Dallas, drive to Houston, drive to wherever, and it's 3 days. You're there, and you're from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. After you're sitting there just networking, talking to guys, picking up on techniques. You got coaches from Alabama, you get coaches from Arkansas, Baylor, USC, Florida, everywhere. The top coaches are there. So you're like, well, hell, I mean, if I want to do this the right way, I want to be in the same room as these guys, right? Like, right. That's how it goes. And yeah, man, just kept on grinding. Was a part of some good teams. I got me a ring too. The only thing is I just never bought it. Yeah. My thing was, I always wanted to keep going. You know what I'm saying? I was like, cool. Like, I wanted to get a jersey, have the guy sign it, frame it up, and then that's my ring. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's that. Yeah. And don't be wrong, I love that shit. I love that bling. You wear it on, you rep it, man. Like, because that shows you passion.
Right.
That's a passion project. So anyone that ever wants to dog on semi-pro or amateur ball, then I dare them to give it 3 months of their lives, and they can't hack it, man.
They won't.
It's a special person.
It does, man. And I'm so glad you brought that, because part of this podcast and part of the previous guests I've had this week, including yourself, and kind of what the parallels I'm seeing in each one of our journeys, or each one of the individual guests, and I guess our journeys, right, as individuals, players, and semi-pro, is that there's so many misconceptions associated with the game of semi-pro. And this is kind of what I alluded to. You probably heard the Darius Prince interview, but this is what I alluded to when I spoke to him. The concept of anyone can do semi-pro, right? Yes, anyone in theory could hopefully maybe find a team. Not all teams except players, right? Because you have to try out depending on how good a team is, what the caliber of the leagues are, and obviously people don't understand how big the league is, or how big the semi-pro scene is nationwide, and obviously regionally when we drill down to the regions, then we get more into the competition levels, of all leagues within each region. The issue is people think, and this is the thing, is like, oh yeah, everyone can do it, everyone can pay to play, whatever it is.
Right.
But the football isn't any less violent. The contact isn't any less violent. And guess what? It's not as regulated, which means you can get fucked up and then not have anything, no insurance. If you have no insurance, you're basically dead in law. You're SOL. You're out of luck, brother, because that's the biggest and I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that to me is kind of just like, you know what? I remember one dude was like, oh, like, look at semi-pro. Like, dude, fuck off, man. Like, and these aren't all semi-pro. This is JUCO, arena, and this is the semi-pro ring. But this is my most proudest ring. Why? Because of my last teammate who was on, he kind of alluded to it. Kind of my role on that team was my biggest role in my playing career. Because I was my last time playing semi-pro competitively was 2 years ago with the Chicago Falcons. Mm-hmm. This ring meant the most to me because even though we didn't win the league, I was able to give it was me proving myself that I could be that player again. It was me proving myself I can relive that magic again. It's me proving myself I can go out there, 28, 6 years out of the game, compete with these 19, 20, 21, whatever old these kids are, trying to get to the next level, like JUCOs or arena or like colleges, and just still be a dog. You know what I mean? And I fucking made the All-Star game, and this is my kind of, like you said, my pride, my passion. So, I'm so glad you brought that up. So
yeah, it's big time, man. And you're right. I mean, these guys, I've seen guys dislocate hips.
Yeah.
I've seen guys have, leg bones pop out of their skin. I've
Yeah.
seen guys.
Yeah. Oh, I think we lost the audio again. Can you hear me? I think your screen froze.
You don't know if they're regulated or refurbished or up to quality. So I've seen, split their shit open. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy because all the injuries and like my last teammate when I was talking to him because I interviewed him yesterday, we played arena obviously in the Midwest because here in the West Coast arena is not as big as it used to be when I used to play back like 8, 9, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But obviously the Midwest when I went out there, it's still and so we got to scrimmage against some of these arena teams which are in the leagues I used to play in where I got this. And it was just like and then like so like the level of competitiveness was up to notch, right? And I saw and us like our guys one of our teammates who tragically passed away this year, he fractured his collarbone. And if I send you the video, you'll be like, like this, because it's just like the dude, he's on special team, he's just literally about to turn, and then the guy is coming full speed, wraps, and then but the impact when the guy hits the ground is like that, like just like that, and I remember it. I was remembering this, and then when John was bringing this up, I was like, holy fucking shit. And then and people don't understand the football is football. I don't care what level you play. I don't care what level you coach. I don't care where you've been. I do care where you've been because that's part of your journey.
Right.
And everyone has a story to tell. But I care about kind of what are you doing? I mean, how are you furthering your passion with the game? So
I had a coach that he was our head coach when I first started doing semi-pro.
Yeah.
The way that he described it is organized violence.
Yeah.
There's no better way to describe it, man. There's no other game that allows you to get up, set up, and say, ready, set, go, and just take out everything you can on the guy in front of you. You know what
Bingo.
I'm saying? Like, regardless what position it is. But yeah, man, it's, I love it. I love the game. I was actually coordinating another defense before the Warbirds called back, and, they're trying to kind of get things going again after the COVID shutdown.
Yeah.
But it's still it's a very different beast, man. Like you're out there and there's always something. There's always like an owner player situation going on. There's always a money thing going on.
Yeah,
there's always a little bit of an attitude somewhere. So it's stuff that, and I met you. I don't know if you remember. I met you right after the Vegas. I think it was.
I do. Last year. Yeah. Right. April. So
right after the game, you were there.
Yeah.
And I was like, who's this motherfucker here with a belt?
The championship belt, boy.
Just rocking it. Like I was like, of course, it's like, post game, we're celebrating, taking pictures.
Yeah.
And I just see you running around. I'm like, what the hell? But it's crazy, man, because it's that level there for Team USA. That's it's like semi-pro to the top notch.
Absolutely.
Like these guys are coming in, they're flying down, they're getting their hotel, and wherever. I mean, shit. We had guys from Texas come with me. We had guys from wherever. So they're coming down. And they're like, okay, I'm paying for my hotel. I know I got 2 days to practice.
Yeah.
I know we're going to play this team that we probably had maybe one game film on, but we're going to go out here and rock it out. And there was no bullshit. Practice was efficient. Got out there, kicked their ass, went home. You know what I'm saying? It was the way it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And that's what, going now to arena ball, it's like, okay, same thing, but, that added incentive of, your housing's paid for, your transportation's paid for, your food is taken care of, and then you're getting a game check. So what do you want to do? Like, do you want to just be a CIF player, or do you want to move up to the IFL or to the XFL or the CFL or wherever you want to go play in Europe? Because I was having offers to go coach in Italy and Brazil prior to COVID. So I'm like, man, ball's big. Ball's big everywhere.
Bingo.
And if you don't think like these people in Italy don't take this shit seriously, bet. You don't think that there's my offensive line down in Brazil. They were all 6'3" and over.
I already know.
275 and over, and these guys are beasts. They need a little bit of technique. Yeah, a little bit of technique, and you get one international player to go down there and run the rock, and they're out there winning championships. So it's awesome, man.
You know, because it's crazy because it wasn't until I started. The reason why I was there was because a lot of the guys from Illinois were guys who were playing for my team. I started in Illinois before I decided to move back to the West Coast. So like Cortez, Cordero, those guys, like, you know, they knew, what's the other guy's name? Fuck, I can't remember his name. A few other guys, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why I was there. You know, I was there for those guys, and because they invited me. Tawan, obviously on your staff. Tawan Keith.
Right.
So luck on your staff. So I mean, like, you know, they're part of my. I owned a team, and they were coaching under me. And then basically, then when they said we're coming out, I'm like, hey bro, come out. I'm like, shit, I'm gonna be out there with a brand new. I've never been to Vegas, and it's like, you know, but I'm living in Phoenix. I'm like, oh shit, it's only like a 4-hour drive. I'm like, fuck it, I'll drive up and see what's good. And so, you know, I mean, it was lit. You know, it was lit. So I mean, you know,
that's how we were. I mean, my wife and I made the road trip from here.
Yeah.
It was probably like 12 hours, which sucked.
Yeah, it's a long drive, dude.
But you know, it was our first time to Vegas.
Yeah.
So we're there, you know, we're set up in a nice hotel, you know, went to the casinos, went to some good restaurants, and just saw the town as much as you can in 3 days, you know what I'm saying? But it was a great experience, man.
Yeah, and one more thing I forgot to mention, Coach Mike. I know his brother-in-law. I actually met his brother-in-law before I even started my team because I was playing for the Falcons, and then his brother-in-law and I both worked at Blue Cross Blue Shield in Chicago.
Yeah.
And then he's like, hey, do you know my brother-in-law? He's coaching too, some team called Team USA Revolution, this and that. And I couldn't figure out who it was until I finally met these guys in person when I started my own team, and they started coming in because they were recruited by Luck or by Tawan, whoever. And then basically they said, yeah, Coach Mike. And I said, Coach Mike. And that's how we have a mutual friend, Marvin. I'm like, oh my fucking God. And then I hit up Coach Mike. I'm like, Mike, do you know Marvin? He's like, yeah, I know Marvin. I'm like, bro, that's my fucking coach. He told me about you. Like, now I'm actually talking to you. And he's like, brother, come out and watch us. I'm like, all right, fuck it. I'll go. You know what I mean?
They're good people, man. I mean, I had such
people.
a good time around them. And ever since, like, we all still staying in contact in a group text.
Yeah.
But like, you know, Mike and like, you know, Luck and Tawan, like, they're all great. And they, you know, they do it, you know, through semi-pro and, you know, these means like that, which is still great because it's football.
Yeah.
But he structures his team like a motorcycle club.
He does, because he loves bikes. He loves riding the bikes.
Does.
Yeah.
He has that same mentality when it comes to his staff and to his players. He's like, you know, because he recently got, you know, inducted into like a Hall of Fame type thing there.
Yeah, I know.
For the semi-pro stuff. And
Semi-pro Hall of Fame, yeah.
Yeah, and so he's like, man, like, y'all hang with me. Like, my goal is not to get myself there; it's to get y'all there.
Right.
To take y'all and get y'all to that point. So yeah, those guys it was outstanding, man. I'm, you know, really glad that I had that chance to do that.
100%, man. Good opportunity. Now we can transition a little bit. Actually, though, before we go on top of football, I never asked you who's your favorite NFL team.
You know, I rep the Texans.
Okay.
Just because I have to. It's I'll sit there and I'll watch any team play any team. That's my thing. I mean, whether it's college, NFL, whatever, I really don't give a shit. Like I don't get bummed whenever they lose.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, you get that question especially as a coach. You're like, well, who's your NFL team? You got to have an answer at some point.
Yeah.
Just because it takes too long to do the other shit. But yeah, man, Texans, and it's a rough year. You know.
Yeah, it is, man.
You know, fuck Bill O'Brien, but
fucking Bill B, baby.
Yeah, but yeah, man, it's just one of those things, and I rep it, and you know, I got T-shirts and caps, and I got a damn emblem on the back of my SUV and stuff. So, you know, I sell out hardcore when it comes to repping stuff. Like, I'm like, cool, what team am I on now? Cool, I need a pair of shoes in that color. I need a couple of hoodies in that color. I need a cap ASAP. Like that's how I do it, man.
100%. Oh, actually, let me go grab something real quick because for this next segment, make it set the tone.
Cool. There it is. Is that an Intercontinental title?
I think it is. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All righty. Now, Great talk about football. Coach Martinez, if you guys want more information on the West Texas Warbirds, go on the West Texas Warbirds Facebook page, right? And
Facebook
then,
page, hit me up on Insta, get my Twitter, get my Facebook, whatever.
yeah,
Now that doing this director stuff, I mean, I'm flooded with friend requests and follows and all that.
that's how it goes, brother.
Yeah,
Bro, it's great. That's what I was trying to allude to. When I started the team, that's when I found out about the international football scene, the Egypts, the Brazils, the Europes, and I forgot to mention this, but a lot of my teams from college at JUCO, or an arena, they actually did go overseas and play in Italy. They actually did go overseas and play in Europe, and one of the quarterbacks, I guess from our JUCO league here, Deanza, his name's Kevin. He won the MVP, and then he went on to transfer to Delta State. He went to Europe, dude. He was making fucking bank, dude, like in fucking Germany.
And the thing is, because they only get one or two guys that they get to bring over from the States, so they get treated like royalty.
Yeah.
I mean, you're there, you're getting compensation, you're getting free housing, you're getting great food. They have decent facilities for the most part. Depends where you go. Like down in Brazil, like top-notch facilities. You would lose your mind at those facilities. But, that just being there and you're going to stand out.
Exactly.
I don't care what race, or your height or if you got dreads or whatever the hell it is, like you're going to stand out no matter who you are because you're just different than everyone else there. Like everyone's local, used to each other, and here you are, this pro football player. I mean, I've talked to a lot of guys that are there and they love it. It's definitely a single man's journey for sure because it's hard to be over there and you're out there for 8 months,
away from your family,
11 months out of the year.
Yeah,
over Christmas, it's hard, man.
Yeah, it really is, But I mean, to your point, obviously, yeah, if you have the talent to get that one of those one or two spots on those international teams, you can see why you'll be treated, a little bit better than the regular, the domestic players. So, for sure. But now, speaking of the 11 months of travel, the 8 months of travel, there's now. Actually, wait. Before we go let me get those socials. Gabriel Martinez, coach at Coach G Martinez. Gabriel Martinez on Facebook, and you can go ahead and drop your Twitters and all your links.
Yeah, for sure. Let me see. Yeah, at Coach G Martinez on Twitter. Same thing on all my profiles have links to my other stuff. So get at me on there. I'm always willing to do interviews or like I said, first podcast I've actually done. I listen to nothing about podcasts anyways. So I'll listen to all the ones you've had so far. I'm just biased. Lofo is my favorite dude because I watched him ball out.
I'm telling you, brother. Yeah, I mean, like to me, it's like, dude, it's a fucking trip because it's like, for me, I used to watch him. You heard it. I watched him come here and beat the fucking shit out of my Niners, And then like I hit him up. I told him, hey, bro, I watched you and I got these rings. I think this is what it was. I sold him over. I was like, I got these, and then I was like, and then you inspired me to play because I wasn't a naturally gifted athlete coming out of high school. I was a guy who, and obviously I didn't play in high school, so I had to work my way, kind of up through the ranks to kind of get the respect and get the recognition to actually get to the next level. Yeah. Meaning that to even start on a JUCO team, and obviously with me, it was like my journey was just taking whatever, and kind of like you. I had the option to walk on at D3, but I mean, at that point, I'm just like, you know what? There's also an AFL combine. They invited me to do that. I'm like, fuck it. I'm just gonna do this, and the rest is history. So
yeah, man, that's how it goes. Everyone's story is different, but it's all special because at the bottom and the base, it's just love of football.
Exactly.
Any team I ever get on, to coach or whatever, consult on, anything, I'm like, that's my first question to the players is, how much do you love football? Because if you don't love it, you're not going to stay here.
Yeah.
You're just not. You have to love the game.
You have to love it, man. There's eternal love and passion for the game. So now let's get into our other passion. You're talking about being on the road 8, 11, 9 months, 12 months a year. I was watching the Monday Night Wars documentary, and this is kind of perfect segue. The beginning of that series. Your favorite wrestler, Mr. Steve Borden, Sting.
Yeah, man. Yeah. He's back.
And AEW, and that to me, and so that's why I want to start off. Kind of, what was your reaction when you saw that? Because, bro, when I was watching that, I was like, wait, is this real? And then it's like, oh shit, it's like the music just light goes by, and there he is. Yeah, in the fucking center of the ring.
Honestly, I don't watch it like I used to. I mean, I used to watch it. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, pay-per-view, all the time. And I remember growing up, back in the day, back in 90, like 596 ish, they used to have a 1-900 line that you could call, and they would tell you who won the matches before it would air that night.
Yeah.
Because they would have the results scripted.
I know, it's crazy.
I remember getting my mom getting a phone bill for like over $200 because it was a collect call. And so I was like, I'm just trying to figure out if Sting wins tonight. I just want but I mean, it was hardcore, man, hardcore. So I mean, now I'm like, I still follow him on social media and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I saw little reel on him, and I was like, oh shit, like what's is he trying to push new merch or whatever, or is he trying to? Because I know he does like a lot of like Comic-Con type stuff. And then I watched it, and I was like, oh shit, he's back, like he's coming back, and like he's
back.
Coming down, he's making that grand entrance, man. So there's nothing that beats it. I got to watch him wrestle one time live, and he was whenever he was the black and white, Crow Sting, and seeing that live, the lights go out, that guitar riff start going, and I'm like, oh, okay, like this is awesome. But I mean, as far back as I remember, man, Surfer Sting.
That's what you got tatted. That's what you got tatted on your leg, right?
I do, man. I got Surfer Sting there, and I'm like, man.
We'll wait for Gabe to get back in. Hopefully, the pause and delay is not too long.
I do stuff that I'm, attached to. So, I mean, I remember having the VHS Steve Borden documentary when I was growing up, and just learning all about the bodybuilding and that he did, and it's big time, man. I still got love for it.
100%. And let's talk about a little bit kind of how he started, because he was part of the Blade Runners as a bodybuilder. Mm-hmm. His friend Jim Hellwig, aka the Ultimate Warrior, was kind of who broke into the business with him, as a Blade Runner tag team. Your tattoo is of Sting with a big gold belt with the kind of the colorful pre-Crow Sting, Surfer Sting, which is kind of similar to the Blade Runners. What kind of did you? I guess my question is kind of how did you feel about the Blade Runner tag team before Sting went solo? Were you a fan of him back then, or was it just when Sting became a solo singles competitor?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just based upon my age, it lined up whenever he was already done with it.
Yeah.
So honestly, I didn't know about it until years later when I watched that documentary. Mm-hmm. And so, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like him and Ultimate Warrior had like a past, and that's that's pretty neat because I used to watch him on WWF, Sting on WCW. So I was like, oh, cool, man. Like they know each other. But yeah, man. I mean, I just remember watching a lot of like the old tapes, like back in the Blockbuster days.
You Blockbuster, brother. Hey, man. This generation will never know the struggle. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. Those rental, those late fees and shit on the rental. But yeah, man. So we watched. It was like the old NWA days.
Yeah, NWA. Of course, like Ric Flair and the
the Flair, the Great Muta. That
Great Muta. Yep.
Yeah, all that stuff. Like there was, but it was just. I think what sold me on him was like his charisma, the electricity, the energy. I mean, you seeing him like not at the level Ultimate Warrior was and running to the ring and running around and shit, but like Sting was getting hyped. He would that Stinger splash. You know what I'm saying? Like, he did a lot of stuff off the turnbuckle in his early days, so it was pretty cool. And then I just kind of.
Audio faded out again. We'll wait for him to come back in.
And his face paint's all fucked up, and you can tell he's emotional, and he says something to the camera. I don't know what language he was speaking, but it was just like that moment was forever defining. Just my adoration for like him as a character, like that. It was groundbreaking at the time because it was like the NWO finally fell down, and here was Sting to reclaim it. It was pretty cool, man. It was good times as a childhood.
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of, to that point, I think I think it was great, to kind of see the transition, you know what I mean? Because from Sting's character early on, being like a good guy, be like everything. And I think this now we segue to Monday Night Wars, right? Because obviously I was around the point of like 94, 95. That's when Hulk Hogan came into WCW, and then a few years later, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash came in from WWF. And Sting then basically got kind of cast aside from being the number one guy to kind of being like they had this kind of, I guess, surrender that title to Hogan, Nash, and Hall with NWO.
Yeah.
And that's when the Crow kind of Sting came into the fold. For me, when I was watching the Monday Night Wars documentary, I think one of the things that really stuck out to me was the fact that Sting was never the type to ever complain. Like, he was always the type of guy backstage who wouldn't cause any drama. And we know all the fucking divas that cause drama, like the Shawn Michaels, Hogan for sure. Like, like fucking, what I mean? Scott Hall, like, like the gif you sent me, Scott Hall, like the Click, the Click, right? Because if they, so I guess for me, just kind of Sting's character is really what sold me on him. Like, it's not just the charisma, it's not just what he did on screen, it's everything behind the stage and behind screen, which is really what set the tone for this new generation of wrestlers. So,
yeah, for sure.
Like,
Okay. What?
How much longer do you have?
About 2 minutes.
Okay.
Can you wait?
Huh?
Can you wait?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You good on time, bro?
Yeah, you're good. The wife's telling me that we're doing the 10-minute countdown.
10-minute countdown, man. That's why I'm not married yet. That's what I told every guest this week. Every guest is married and have kids except for me.
Hey, man, enjoy it while it lasts.
Exactly.
Eventually, someone's gonna tie you in that belt down.
I already know, brother. I'm strategically trying to wiggle my way out of it, but yeah. So obviously Sting's your favorite, but let's talk a little bit more about kind of my favorite era, the Attitude Era of wrestling, right? Stone Cold Steve Austin comes in. You have Shawn Michaels going out the door because Shawn Michaels, the new generation. It was just like kind of the point of what I just said about Sting's character behind the screen. Shawn Michaels is the complete opposite of that. And I was watching Undertaker, because Undertaker just retired this year, right? And he was on the Bogus Skull sessions on WWE Network, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Right.
With Taker, what he was saying, and they actually talked about the WrestleMania 14 match, right? He was saying Shawn wasn't willing to do business, and if he wasn't, I was going to tape up my gloves. And obviously both Stone Cold and Taker are from Texas, so I mean they're kind of like I'm not sure they're legends over there, but I mean they should be if they're not.
Oh, big time, yeah.
Big time, yeah.
Stone Cold here. I mean, he's got his ranch and shit here. Yeah, it's big time here.
Dude, I know. I already know that. So basically, kind of. So Taker and I were talking about it, and then Stone Cold said, "Yeah, it's like Shawn was a complete dick, leading up to the event and getting up to the match." And Undertaker said, Undertaker said, if Shawn was willing to do business, I was going to go out there and legitimately beat him up because he's like, we needed the title to change hands because Austin, like you were saying to Austin, like it was your time. The business was trending in your direction. People were tired of like the corny gimmicky shit that was going on from like the 80s and 90s. You know what I mean? Yeah. So kind of talk to me as to kind of what your kind of impressions were as to like. When the Attitude Era kind of, I guess, I mean, there's differing versions as to when the Attitude Era kicked off, but kind of when Stone Cold won the belt in 98.
All that was insane because I remember watching it week to week and being like, you don't know what's going to happen. They were pulling up in tanks, doing all their DX shit, and I was like, I was preteen, maybe even younger than that.
Yeah,
going around to people going like, "Suck it," so you see that, and then like you start, The Rock starts coming into his own. Stone Cold, is just throwing down beers and the turnbuckle, and it's like that. I mean, and a lot of people agree. I think it's your favorite because it was one of the best times in wrestling. I mean, you had the peak of just like.
Fading out, fade back in. Wait for it.
I loved it, man. I mean, all the stuff, Stone Cold pulling up in his truck and like, fucking a motherfucker up in the back, and getting him in the dressing room, and it was insane. And it was, I think, as you start getting older, you go back and read like, the documentaries and read some of the books. I read like Mick Foley's book and Jake the Snake Roberts and all them, and you start seeing that stuff in the background that was going on, and you're like, damn, like this shit was complicated.
It was. Yeah.
We thought it was crazy to see at the time, but really and truly, like there was some major feuds going on, like the whole Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels thing with that decision, and then like you said, trying to force out Sean as they were doing like the whole, as they were transitioning to the, the DX stuff. And it's just, it was a crazy time. So that was, that was probably whenever I was, of course, WCW was falling apart. So
yeah.
like, I'll give us a chance. Cause I was totally sold out on WCW. I was all about it. I'd rather watch Dean Malenko than somebody on, than watch Mark Henry on the WWF. It's just the way it was, man.
Yeah, absolutely. The man of 1,000 holds versus sexual chocolate. I mean, it's pretty simple.
Yeah, it was just a purist thing. But then, as it went away, the whole Ted Turner stuff and all that, but you kind of see even now. I mean, I know, like, we're still talking about Attitude Era, but even now, like, now that Sting is gone with this other group, I was just talking to my brother about it, and I was looking on WWE's website. They pulled all his shit, like all his merch. It's all gone.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm interested to see how that went down. Like, I want to see, like, not that Vince McMahon's doing much work with Sting nowadays because his back and stuff, but obviously, there had to have been some type of business transaction there too, because they were still selling action figures and masks and belts and gloves and all that kind of stuff for the longest time. So it's crazy. It's when you have that kind of adult perspective to it, you kind of get to see the full 360 view, and it's badass.
100%, brother. 100%.
Yeah.
Now let's transition to kind of after the Attitude Era, because another era which I really liked was Ruthless Aggression Era. And the reason I liked it was because you had guys from WCW like Eddie Guerrero, like Chris Benoit, finally get to be fucking champions, which is where they've been held down for so long. One of my favorite moments, obviously besides WrestleMania 20, is No Way Out 2004, because Eddie Guerrero heading into that match, when they kind of built it up, they kind of focused on his addiction. And I think in my opinion the greatest promo I've ever seen was Eddie Guerrero's promo prior to No Way Out, when he cuts it on Brock Lesnar and says, "My addiction is in this ring, Holmes. My addiction is to get that top." Like he's like the only high now is when we get in this ring, brother. We get high, And it resonated in me so much. So I'm not sure. What were you? Were you still watching wrestling during the Ruthless Aggression?
That was my way down a little bit.
Yeah.
So I would still pretty much like catch up after everything was over. I would kind of see all the stuff that had happened.
Yeah.
So that was big time, and it was I was big time into that because we saw them wrestle here a lot in Texas because they're all from here.
Yeah.
So like we used to go to like small matches. And it would be, Juventud Guerrera, Eddie Guerrero, Chavo Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, La Parca, those guys, and we would see them up close and personal. Like we would see, there was no 20,000 arena. It was maybe 100 people there.
Yeah.
And so you're sitting there, and they come out, and they'll take pictures of every single person. They slap your hand. Even as I got older and I had my kid, like. He was given one of Rey Mysterio's masks and stuff like that. So
awesome.
Those are guys that we actually got to see on a more like personal level.
Right.
And to see the way that they kind of transitioned him, it was crazy because it was like, man, like you're right. Like he finally got his chance. He got his title. He held it for a while.
Yeah.
He got crazy with the whole like the child.
Wife. Oh yeah. The Rey Mysterio, the child wife, Javo.
Oh, man, I was like, damn, like it's a little much.
And then Eddie and then Eddie died right before the Royal Rumble, that WrestleMania. So
yeah,
it's crazy how the timing just fell into place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, big time. And it was and that was tough because I remember. I mean, at that time, I was like, of course, when I lived through like the Kurt Hennig and the Chris Benoit and Owen Hart, I went through all that kind of stuff. But then to see someone like Eddie, it was to see he was also Hispanic. He was also someone that we saw live, right up and close and personal. You got to see his damn sweat and shit would fall on you, whatever. Like you're like, oh my, kind of gross, but at the same time, like it's badass because like you see that frog splash hit, right there. So it was it was cool. But at the same time, like it's just a business. You know what I'm saying? Like it's there's a lot of dirty stuff to it. And he had a lot of demons. You know what I'm saying? His steroids and all that kind of stuff. And it's a hard grind. Like you said, the travel, you're on the road, you're having to do what you got to do to get there. It's not all glamour.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. You know, Taker talked about it, and Kurt Angle actually talked. They both talked about it in the Boca Skull sessions. I have the W Network subscription, so I watch it every now and then. They both said that, you know, Taker, when Stone Cold say, "Hey Taker, how you doing, buddy?" and then Taker's like, he's like, 30 years, man. Like, you know, I'm doing how you know I'm doing. Like, it's a hard life, you know.
Yeah.
And Kurt Angle kind of talked about Eddie Guerrero. He said Eddie Guerrero. They didn't realize this in the moment, but in hindsight, being 2020, backstage, he said Eddie would basically be white in the face before the event, and he would be pale. And then like there's like one night Eddie said, he's like, "You stiffed me, Kurt," and Kurt's like, "Eddie, I didn't touch you. You stiffed me." And they start fighting and fighting and fighting. Kurt's like, "I'm ready to sell this." Kurt Angle's my favorite wrestler, right? Kurt Angle's, "I'm ready to sell this, Eddie," and then Eddie's like, "I'm not ready to." And they keep fighting, and then Big Show picks up both of them by one arm and puts them across different sides of the locker room. I mean, just like Kurt Angle says, first time in my life I ever felt like a little man. But like, yeah, to your point, I just like, it's unfortunate. And I heard Chavo recently on Chris Jericho's podcast. He basically said that like it wasn't the steroids, it wasn't like any of the drugs or alcohol. It's the pain pills, because the pain pills like Vicodin and you know. So yeah.
Well, I mean, I think
the combination, exactly, yeah.
Well, the majority of wrestlers went through that same thing. Like Sting went through that same thing. You had a lot of guys, and you know, luckily for them, they were able to make it through it. You know, keep their marriages and stuff like that, because that's what ultimately comes down to it. Because like now he has a relationship with his kids.
Yeah.
You know, he actually gets to, you know, still, you know, see his wife, but you know, Eddie, you know, he wasn't so lucky. You know, that's the unfortunate reality behind it, because it's like it's a super profitable business at the end of the day. You know, mega entertaining, and we kind of lived through the point where, you know, I don't know if it'll ever get back to that kind of pure. It was just, you know, the characters were right, the timing was right, you know, it was a lot of newness to it, and they tried to recreate it now, and it's not the same.
It's just not the same. And I think the reason why is because the talent that was there. The mid-carders became main eventers. Mid-carders were main eventers doing mid-card matches, you know. It's like it's crazy, man. So yeah. But yeah, I know we're out of time though, brother. So, you know, I just wanted to say, you know, once again, really appreciate your time today, you know, joining the 81 podcast, and it was really fun talking to you. You know, it was great learning about your background, your history, and your passions, which are kind of aligned with my passions and my background. And anything else, any parting thoughts for our viewers, listeners?
Nah, man, just
You went out. You went out. You went out. I can't hear you. Yeah, I can't hear you. Okay, now. Yeah, go ahead.
Good? All
yeah,
right.
no, yeah.
Sorry, man. It's probably my internet. Sorry.
No,
but yeah, but just, you know, appreciate you having me on. I think this is great. Like the fact that you started out the way you did with like I said, again, bias, Lofa Tutupu, like that's badass. So it's only, you know, that's how you're starting out. Like, you know, keep on growing it, man. Like, you know, I'll be sure to be, you know, your biggest promoter for it. Like, it's awesome. I appreciate, you know, just a small town guy, you know, from Texas getting on here and talking some ball and wrestling. That's awesome. So, you know, look forward to doing it again sometime. We'll talk some, you know, some more wrestling or give you some updates as the season goes along. But appreciate you, you know, big time.
100%, brother. Appreciate you too. Everyone, viewers, that's Gabriel Martinez, the West Texas Warbirds. Follow him on Facebook. Follow him on IG at Coach G Martinez Twitters. Gabe, appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
All right, sign off.